You're not listening out of curiosity. You're listening because there's a belief inside you. If you aren't needed, it's like you don't exist. Not sad, erased. So you cling to proof of usefulness. You catch yourself doing extra, taking on other people's stuff, covering, explaining, reminding, fixing, and you can't stop, even when you're tired. And the worst part is simple. You're not sure you can be loved at all unless you do something. By the end of the video, you'll understand why being useful works for you like a small dose of relief, why that same relief quietly pushes you away from real contact, and what you're actually trying to hold on to. 2 a.m., a cramped kitchen. You sit on the edge of the table and push your mug a centimeter forward and back, like you're checking it obeys. The glaze under your fingers is a bit rough and cool. There's a sharp lemon smell from the spray that clings to your skin even after you stop wiping. The fridge hums evenly, but there's a nervous beat to that buzz, like it can't settle either. At the sink, you line up 3 bottle caps, chalk around the rims. They click when they're right, and in the lamp's circle, dust motes glitter as if they want to be noticed too. You whisper a draft message to someone who isn't here, rehearse it aloud, erase it, type it again, erase again. And it's not just the kitchen. The same pattern lives in your messages, at work, in weekend plans, in decisions that could be simple. You reply faster than you have time to decide whether you want to. You take on, I'll check, I'll remind, I'll sort it, even when no one asked. You read other people's tone like instructions and immediately offer a fix. In relationships, you become the maintenance person, guessing, adjusting, smoothing, bringing, organizing. If a pause stretches, you look for something to fill it, because silence sounds like rejection. Inside, it doesn't feel like wanting to be good so much as fear of becoming extra. It matters less to help than to prove you don't disappear. So you cling to micro-tasks, wipe the table, arrange the caps, send "How are you?" and add another sentence to sound more caring. Send a link, confirm the time, warn in advance. These tiny things each give a small click of relief. I did something, so I can stay on the list of the living. For a second, your breathing evens out. The paradox is that this relief from small usefulness makes you at once more noticeable and less seen. You're constantly highlighting yourself with actions. Look, I'm here, I'm working, I'm needed. But the more you move in don't be extra mode, the less space there is for people to see you without functions. It's easier for others to treat you as convenient, the one who will fix things, who won't complain, who will offer. And it gets harder for you to show anything other than the efficient version of yourself, the person who might be confused, angry, empty, silent, not ready. You end up paying with actions for the right to stay close, and the price keeps rising. You can see it in how you write messages. You don't just write, you calculate. You pick a phrasing that won't stress anyone, add or remove an emoji, reread it like it's a contract on your existence. Then you delete it because you're afraid of being pushy. Then you write again because you're afraid of being invisible. And this can go on for hours, especially at night when no one answers and your mind starts drawing conclusions from the silence.
At work, it looks respectable, even admirable. You pick up backup tasks, close loose ends, polish things nobody asked you to. People love you as a resource. You're praised for being reliable. In that moment, you get exactly what you were hunting for, confirmation you won't be discarded. But then you're left alone, and oddly, you don't feel closer to anyone. You feel used and guilty at once. Used because you were taken as a tool, guilty because you placed yourself there. In relationships, this thing is especially quiet and sticky. You notice you almost never ask directly. You offer, you guess. You do service so you don't have to say, I'm scared you'll leave. I need you close. It hurts when you're silent. It's easier to make dinner than to admit you're lonely. Easier to help with a chore than to hold a look and say, I want you to choose me, not for what I do. And the more you choose usefulness, the less chance you have of hearing anything about the real you, because you hide the real you to avoid losing your place. Somewhere in the night, you push the mug again, and the lamp lights up a photo on the fridge door. It's always been there, you just haven't looked. A child's face, a little blurred, a haircut that's not yours, familiar eyes. Suddenly it becomes clear. This wasn't about pleasing others or being a good adult. It was a survival strategy from a room where you were noticed only when you were useful, when you were quiet, when you were convenient, when you didn't take up much space. Back then, it made sense. You couldn't afford the luxury of being a child who wanted unconditional attention. You learned to buy looks with deeds. That's why the rituals are so sticky. It's not a habit you do for some reason, it's insurance. You line up the caps the same way you lined yourself up, neat, even, without extra noise, so there'd be no complaints. You rehearse the message the way you once rehearsed your tone, so you wouldn't be rejected. You move the mug a centimeter because you need something that obeys, when everything inside depends on someone else's mood. And here's the bitter part. The adult you keeps protecting that small one, but chooses a method that doesn't bring closeness. It brings busyness. It brings the image of the reliable person. It brings tiny flashes of relief when someone says, "Thanks, you saved me." In that moment, you want to add more, do more, finish more, just to hear the confirmation again and not fall into the void. But that thanks rarely touches you. It touches the function. And you want more than that. You want to be seen whole, not as a list of completed tasks. The night ends without drama. The kitchen is the same, the lemon still clings to your hands, the fridge hums as it did, the caps stand in a line, and there's an order that soothes for a second. It becomes clearer that this order isn't about cleanliness or discipline. It's about the fear of disappearing, about a habit of earning your presence, about trying to protect the child who was only seen when they were useful. This is what all that usefulness is really busy with. Not love for people, but a fight for the right to exist nearby.